Well, two police officers in Westchester County went above and beyond to serve a member of their community in need. Those officers were called to a store in Mount Vernon for a shoplifting report, but instead of arresting the man responsible, they showed him some compassion. News 4's Gus Rosendale talked with those two officers.
Yeah, showing compassion is so rare for officers to do, you know? This stuff is sickening.
Those officers were called to a store in Mount Vernon for a shoplifting report, but instead of arresting the man responsible, they showed him some compassion. News 4's Gus Rosendale talked with those two officers and has their story.
What's going on? Oh, why you gotta do that, man? You don't gotta do that. I get that. What are you trying to get today? Some socks? All right.
Mount Vernon police officers Chris Cartwright and Jason Velez called to the report of a shoplifter at this Dollar Tree store Sunday afternoon.
As soon as we walked up, he kind of gave me the look like, you got me. You know, and he was very honest and upfront, and, we just rolled with it.
Their body cam video captured the encounter.
I think everyone left the situation feeling much better than when it originally started.
And it started with a calm conversation with the homeless man who admitted he was trying to steal socks.
Yeah, let's take it over to the counter. Let's go to the counter.
Okay. Now, the funny thing about this, not funny thing about this, but had this homeless man lunged at them with a knife, and the officer took out his gun and shot the guy, and the guy succumbed to his wounds, they would have said they shot him over a pair of socks. The headlines all over the media, Twitter, they shot a black man, he would have no longer been homeless. They shot a black man over a pair of socks. Buying a pair of socks shouldn't be a death sentence. These cops, this ain't something that's just being done. They trying to make this seem like these cops buying this guy a pair of socks is just because, cops are changing since, there's a change in cops in this country. Cops been doing stuff like this since the beginning of time. You just seeing it because of the body cam. Cops been helping people out and giving people breaks and cutting people slack since the beginning of time. They do that more than they don't. But they're trying to present this story as it's some kind of anomaly.
As soon as we walked up, he kind of gave me the look like, you got me. And he was very honest and upfront, and, we just rolled with it.
Their body cam video captured the encounter.
I think everyone left the situation feeling much better than when it originally started.
And it started with a calm conversation with the homeless man who admitted he was trying to steal socks.
Yeah, let's take it over to the counter. Let's go to the counter. Okay. All right, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
And you can see the officers there diffuse the situation, avoid any sort of conflict, and effective use of law enforcement. And what happened next was a beautiful act of compassion.
Tell you what, I'll buy you a couple pairs of socks, though, but you gotta stop stealing them. All right, fair enough?
Yes, the officers paid for dozens of socks out of their own wallets.
You're de-escalating the situation. You're calming everybody down, and you're coming up with a solution.
Who's shocked that the police chief of this, we can't even call it not racist police department, because if one of the cops on this force does something that Twitter deems racist from a 10-second viral video, anytime in the future, this whole department is going to be considered racist, as well as all the police in the United States. But one thing about this policing in America, it shows a lot of black police chiefs. Jeez, it's like the movies, it's like TV. On TV, every time it's a show, the police chief is a black guy. Real life is starting to get like the movies. Every city we go to, the police chief is a black guy.
You're de-escalating the situation. You're calming everybody down, and you're coming up with a solution.
A solution that recognizes the importance of clean, comfortable feet, and that's not lost on Officer Velez, who served as a Navy corpsman alongside Marines.
Judging from, My military days are really important.
The homeless man, not charged. Even the store manager told police she'd help with a hot meal and supplies in the future.
How do you deny the guy, something essential that he needs?
And the choice to put compassion before cuffs. In Mount Vernon, Gus Rosendale, News 4 New York.
In other headlines tonight, subway riders and the MTA are pleading with the mayor for more protection as violent crime in transit rises.
So why are we seeing this trend and what can be done about it? CBS 2's Allie Bauman is live in Columbus Circle with more. Allie.
Chris Eden-Dick, some experts believe the recent rise in subway violence is the result of a perfect storm. Years of inadequate social services mixed with the pandemic's economic impact and commuters still largely working from home. The mayor is...
Who believes that it's a perfect storm of those three things? Who believes that? Personally, I don't. I think there's more crime everywhere and on the New York transit system, which is a place in everywhere. Because no bail in New York City, which they started at the beginning of last year. So the criminals know they'll be getting out, if not the same day, the next day. Two, less police. So there's nobody to watch the criminals or deter them with their presence. There are less people deterring crime. The criminals can tell, well, damn, back in the day, if you see transit cops popping up all over the place, you never knew when one would pop up. Now it's like, you don't see a transit cop for hours. Let me go clunk that lady upside the head and take her purse. Ain't no perfect storm of these factors that ain't got nothing to do with less police and being weak on crime, soft on crime. That's the only thing that's happening here.
Chris Eden-Dick, some experts believe the recent rise in subway violence is the result of a perfect storm. Years of inadequate social services mixed with the pandemic's economic impact and commuters still largely working from home. The mayor is banking on transit to become safer once the city fully reopens, but riders are begging him to do something, anything, in the meantime. MTA conductor Gerard Sykes was nearly blinded Thursday morning. He was riding the J train off duty in Brooklyn when police say a stranger slashed him in the face with a box cutter. The victim's aunt with a message for Mayor de Blasio.
Mr. Mayor, I am saying to you, it is not safe for the transit workers or the public to ride train, buses, and everything.
This guy was nearly blinded by a stranger. How many of y'all think this is going to be an anti-black attack? That's what I was telling you guys about these anti-Asian attacks in New York and San Francisco. They're happening to everybody. Everybody's getting attacked more. Anti-Asian attacks are up XYZ% in such and such period of time. You want to see what black attacks? You want to see the gun memorial for New York? The gun memorial for New York looked like the black gun memorial for New York. Okay? The gun memorial for New York looked like the gun memorial for Rwanda. Okay? So, miss me with the whole Asian attacks are up XYZ%. Because if this had happened to an Asian, we'd be talking about race, anti-stop Asian hate and all this crap. This guy was slashed in the face with a razor. Now he might be blind. By a stranger. And it happens all the time, but you don't hear about it. Only reason you're hearing about this is because he was an MTA worker. If he would have been a regular black dude, this wouldn't have made the news. Only way this would have, if he would have been a Hispanic guy, this wouldn't have made the news. If he'd have been a white guy, hell no, this wouldn't have made the news. Only reason this is making the news because he worked at the MTA. The only way this would have made the news if he wouldn't work for the transit authority would be if he was Asian.
MTA conductor Gerard Sykes was nearly blinded Thursday morning. He was riding the J train off duty in Brooklyn when police say a stranger slashed him in the face with a box cutter. The victim's aunt with a message for Mayor de Blasio.
Mr. Mayor, I am saying to you, it is not safe for the transit workers or the public to ride train, buses, and everything.
While the mayor touts transit crime overall is down citywide compared to this time last year, assaults in transit is up 20%.
Now listen, I was going to do a story about this white lady who was just walking and got clubbed upside the head and got her purse stolen the other day by a brown fellow. But do you think that this white woman her being clubbed upside the head, do you think that would have made Good Morning America or the Today Show? And do you think she's the only one? How many of y'all remember the story I did, what was it, a couple weeks ago? The 74-year-old white woman just got punched in the face for no reason. And these are only the stories I'm doing, and I got like 4 channels. I got a hip-hop channel. I got like a lifestyle and celebrity channel. I got different channels. This is just the time that I have for this channel. Make sure you subscribe to all my channels. Also, make sure you take the $5 challenge to support my network of content that we bring you pretty much every day. Pretty consistent. So make sure you support the channel. But this white woman right here, you think she want to go on the news and see an Asian lady get the same treatment she does and hear about how there's some concerted effort to attack Asians when out of her circle of white friends, she can count like several dozen of them who've been attacked in public? You think she wants to hear about how this is only happening to Asian people? It's happening to everybody.
Last year, assaults in transit is up 20%.
If you said to one of my kids, oh, you shouldn't go on the subway, it's not safe, they would laugh you out of the room. They would tell you you clearly couldn't be a real New Yorker.
I'd like to see you put some more police officers out here. Do something. Please. We are begging you.
The mayor's office says up to 600 additional officers are surged into the subway system each day, but the MTA is asking for 1,500 more, as well as additional mental health resources.
Putting on rose-colored glasses, pretending that there's no problem, is not a way to leave the city.
A common thread with the recent violence has been emotionally disturbed people who are often homeless.
2 things. These are the people who destroyed major parts of their city, burned and looted, because a man, he was killed, died, had a heart attack, whatever, in police custody in Minneapolis. So now they're whining about we need more cops here. When just last year, you were demanding less cops, and you were cursing and excoriating the cops that were left. Unbelievable. Second of all, most of the stories we see of these attacks are brothers that look just like me. Just regular brothers, just happen to be walking down the street, see somebody cold cock them and keep on stepping. It ain't no naked man running around talking to himself. The majority of these are just regular brothers, look just like me. They try to put everything on mental illness because some of the cases are crazy homeless people. Yes, they are. But to act like that's the average attack in the streets of America is just some homeless crazy person, that's being disingenuous.
Putting on rose-colored glasses, pretending that there's no problem, is not a way to leave the city.
A common thread with the recent violence has been emotionally disturbed people who are often homeless. CBS 2 urban affairs expert Mark Peters.
Second of all, the de Blasio administration for years has been failing to deal properly with mental health issues. And we're just seeing, the results compound themselves at a time of higher stress.
Professor Anna Harvey is the director of NYU's Public Safety Lab.
Individuals who maybe might be prone to commit acts of violence are able to perform much better in society when they have a stable and supportive and secure environment. And the pandemic has really upended that.
Harvey believes crime will subside after the city fully reopens, but in the meantime agrees more cops in transit focused on violence would help.
Because every minute that you spend writing out a citation or making an arrest for a nonviolent misdemeanor offense is a minute that you're not able to act as a deterrent presence.
The MTA has taken it upon themselves to double the number of non-police security and order thousands of CCTV cameras. We're live in Columbus Circle. Ali Bauman, CBS 2 News.
New York City's Indian community is rallying together after surveillance video shows a Sikh man being attacked with a hammer in Brooklyn. Right now, it is not being investigated as a hate crime. CBS 2's Kieran Dillon has that story from Brownsville.
Jessica, the community believes the attack was motivated by hate and that the victim was targeted because of his religious attire, specifically his turban. The assault, meanwhile, was caught on camera. This surveillance video shows the vicious attack play out. 32-year-old Sumit Aluwalia enters the lobby of a Brooklyn hotel where he is bashed in the head by a man with a hammer.
He pulled out the hammer from his pocket and banged on my head with such intensity.
I know that's not funny, but he said he banged on my head with such intensity. That's not funny, but it's just the way he said it, man. And he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a hammer and he banged on my head with such intensity.
He pulled out the hammer from his pocket and banged on my head with such intensity.
The assault happened Monday morning at the Quality Inn in Brownsville, where Aluwalia is the operations manager. Aluwalia says an unknown man entered the lobby, began yelling at him and the front desk staff before spitting in his face 3 times.
He came moving back. I said, "Hey, brother, what happened? You're not my brother. You're not the same skin. I don't like you."
And do you think you were targeted? Because
I can't say that because I was the only turban guy over there.
The attack has left Aluwalia, a Sikh father of 2 who immigrated from India 3 years ago, completely shaken.
I'm scared somehow, but now when I'm going to work, like when I'm walking, I have some fear like maybe somebody coming.
Now that's real. That's real. But think about how black people in New York feel. They're always being attacked, like all their lives. Yes, it's by other black people, just like you were attacked by a black person, but still, that's the black experience. I remember I got jumped by like 12 guys in the 8th grade. They was in high school and whatnot. They wasn't really after me, they was after my buddy, but he ran. He saw them and ran. We came up the escalator at Shaw Howard University Station, and they were sitting across the street, like by the library, and they were like on a little ledge. We get to the top of the escalator. This nigga just hauls, and I'm standing there like. And usually, as a black person, you know when somebody starts running, you just run. You don't ask no questions. But I just was like, just confused, like, why the hell he just start running? And he took off, and they couldn't catch him. He was gone, and the ones that was just standing there, I guess since I was with them, they started jumping. Man, they beat me good. You hear me? I mean, good. They fractured my wrist and everything. If it wasn't for some man who just came over there and was like, "Hey, get off of him," they would still be beating me down. No bullshit. They would still be beating me right now if that man ain't come over there. Black dude. Hero. I don't know him. I ain't never seen him before. Never seen him again. But older black dude came over there, got him a ball for me. After that, man, every time we got on the train after school, and I knew I was going to have to come up that, because that's the station where I lived at. I had just moved around there too. Damn, it was crazy. I had just moved around there like a month before. That joint, man, I'm talking about, you talk about PTSD, I'd be terrified. Just getting on the train after work, knowing I was going to have to get over up there. Get over at the train up there. PTSD. And my stepfather that evening, he made it worse. When I got home and told him what happened, he got in the car and we started riding around looking for these dudes. And I'm telling you, man, I ain't see none of them because I ain't even see none of them when they was jumping me. But I tell you, if I would have seen some of them, I would have been like, yeah, there they go right there. But I ain't even see none of their faces. Like, they just jumped on me, right? But it gave me PTSD. And, you know, it was a while before I felt comfortable. Like, my heart didn't start palpitations. My stomach didn't start churning. You know, you get bubble guts and you got to fart. Bubble guts and shit. It was months before I could get off at that station without feeling those sensations, man. So I know what this guy's talking about, but black people feel like that. That's all your life. The black person ain't gonna tell you that. I wouldn't have told nobody this when I was coming up. No, I ain't telling nobody that's how I was feeling. Nobody knew that. Niggas thought I ain't care. Like, man, I ain't worried about this. Niggas ain't know that I was feeling all that inside. Nah, I ain't telling nobody that. So a black person not gonna tell you that. Brothers that been shot at, people been robbed, women, all. Man, black people go the same feeling this brother got. This Sikh brother got.
I'm scared somehow, but now when I'm going to work, like when I'm walking, I have some fear, like maybe somebody coming.
Show me what America looks like.
This is what America looks like.
Saturday, members of the South Asian and Sikh community were joined by politicians to speak out against anti-Asian hate.
We will continue to promote unity in our city, and we will stand up against bias, and we will stand up against hate.
Advocate Japmeet Singh says the assault is especially painful on the heels of the killing of 4 Sikhs in the deadly massacre in Indianapolis.
We should be accepting of everybody. We all are entitled to a dignified life, a respectful life.
Police have now released these images of the suspect. The Sikh community wants the assault investigated as a hate crime. As of last week, there have been 68 anti-Asian hate crimes in the city, compared to 15 during the same period the year before. Advocates say more awareness and education are needed to end the hate. Ahluwalia agrees, adding he came to the United States with a heart full of hope and just wants to belong.
People should know that these turban guys, they are here to help. We are not here to harm anyone. We are also here struggling, doing a job ourselves, right? We wake up at the morning 6 a.m., go home 7, 9 sometimes, and we don't deserve this.
Well, Ahluwalia, they ain't doing that. You ain't living the same life as them. They ain't getting up at no 6 and coming home at 9 o'clock working. Nah, you not living the same life as them. I guess I see how you could assume that because you're like, damn, I mean, look at all the opportunity in America. No, these people think that there's no opportunity. They think they basically living in slavery, and this is the worst country in the world, and everything's against them. Ahluwalia think that these brothers is getting up at 6 in the morning, going to work at some kind of job or some kind of business venture, and getting home at 9. These brothers think this is hell. This is hell on earth.
With a heart full of hope and just wants to belong.
People should know that these turban guys, they are here to help. We are not here to harm anyone. We are also here struggling, doing a job ourselves, right? We wake up at the morning 6 a.m., go home 7, 9 sometimes, and we don't deserve this.
Ahluwalia suffered minor injuries to his head. He believes it was his turban that prevented his injuries from being more severe. In Brownsville, Brooklyn, Kieran Dillon, CBS 2 News.
Police say this man pulled out a sharp object and slashed a New York City Parks employee across the face and chest. It happened after they got into an argument around 2:45 in the afternoon Sunday on Jerome Avenue near East 22nd Street. The Parks employee was taken to the hospital for treatment. If you recognize this man, call NYPD's Crime Stoppers hotline at 800.
And all this is the last couple of days. Like, this ain't like no year in review. This the last couple of days. In one city. And it's just some of it. Like, this is like 1% of all the stories. I'm just taking some of the one, just give you, trying to give you an idea of what's going on. And cops supposed to be running around buying people socks all day instead of arresting people. Because a man got killed in Minneapolis last year.
Devell Gardner, who was killed by a stray bullet over the summer. Police have arrested and charged 25-year-old Deshaun Austin with murder, attempted murder, assault, and reckless endangerment. Gardner was at a park in Bed-Stuy with his family when the gunman opened fire back in July. The little boy sitting in his stroller was hit along with 3 other men who all survived.
So it took a while. It took almost a year for the police to do what the community could have done in one day. The community could have just given this Deshaun character up. Give me a race on Deshaun, too. Community could have got this done in one day. Everybody knew who shot this kid. Everybody knew what happened, why it's... Or they could have given a lead that led to an arrest within a week. But the police wouldn't let this go because it was a 1-year-old, and the cops on the force... They wouldn't let it go. They all got kids. When there's cases like this, they really want to catch the guy. And I feel the same way. If I was a cop, and I wouldn't rest until this guy was behind bars. So they caught this guy for shooting this kid last year in broad daylight in front of everybody. Good job, cops. Great job, cops. Wow, the cops really did none of that. The community throwing a parade. The community getting out and thankful for the cops. None of that. The parents of the 1-year-old holding a press conference with clergy members thanking the police for bringing. None of that. Just a 20-second story on the news.
Tonight, the NYPD investigating after a private security guard shot a man waving a knife at people outside a department store.
CBS 2's Nick Calloway is live in the Parkchester section of the Bronx with more. Nick.
Well, Dick and Christine, this all happened in front of that Macy's behind me earlier this afternoon. A man was threatening random people with a knife, and police say he was shot for it.
So this is very common behavior in New York we're starting to see. A man just threatening people with a knife. That's like the terror these people must live in on a daily basis. And the fact that, like the majority of the people aren't going to experience this on a daily basis, but at any time you could just bend the corner and encounter something like this, even though you probably won't. But it's just there. So let's see how the community reacts to this man, this knife-wielding man who, when they say that he was, threatening people with a knife, we got to understand what that really means. They're sanitizing it. They're trying to play it down. I want you guys to really just think about what they really mean, what that meant for the people who were on the street when this guy was doing this. Not for what the reporters trying to, lighten it up, water it down, but what the people on the street really felt. You got to think about the victim, man.
Well, Dick and Christine, this all happened in front of that Macy's behind me earlier this afternoon. A man was threatening random people with a knife, and police say he was shot for it.
It was crazy.
Witnesses described the scene here as chaotic after a man was shot by a security guard. It happened around 4:40 p.m. at Metropolitan and Wood Avenues. Police say the man was waving a knife around and threatening people who walked by. A Parkchester public safety officer, which is private security for the nearby Parkchester development, arrived on scene first and told the suspect to drop the knife. Police say the man refused, and the security guard fired 3 rounds at the suspect, hitting him once in the backside.
Well, at least the guy was wearing a mask. But here's my thing. The guy who shot this guy wasn't even a cop. He was security for the local project or housing development across the street. So this guy is a hero, right? That thing that we were seeing on the news all the time jumped up and happened in front of us. And we were all terrified. And there were no cops in sight because we defunded the police. But the public safety officer from over at the apartment complex came up and saved the day. Great, right?
I heard a shot.
Neighbors and witnesses were rocked by the incident.
You want to be able to walk down your street and not feel like your life's in danger, not feel like your community's in danger. You just want to be able to just walk and just be safe.
I'm scared. I'm scared for my neighborhood. I'm scared for the neighborhood because I don't know what's going to come out from this.
So you see those two people, they tell you basically it's not a safe community. And they live in basically terror or fear or some state of uncomfort when they're on the streets. But no praise for the guy who saved the day. Or no talk about the lack of police or the fact that, it's not safe because of XYZ, or it's not safe because, or who's doing it. Just vagueness about how they feel unsafe. I wish somebody could give us an animated, heartfelt, passionate statement.
Even though the suspect had a knife, some neighbors tell us they are upset the security guard used his gun.
They should have got him some help. They shouldn't have shot him. They should have tased him. That's what they should have did.
The suspect.
Something is wrong with us, man. Something's wrong with us. Even a pandering white liberal on the scene wouldn't have said that. They would have waited till they got home on Twitter or till after the cameras left and tweeted from their phone about how racist and everything this was. But why is this woman saying this when it's clear that before this incident is a very dangerous neighborhood? And now a person who was actively making it dangerous was neutralized. Why is this woman caping for that person.
Even though the suspect had a knife, some neighbors tell us they are upset the security guard used his gun.
They should have got him some help. They shouldn't have shot him. They should have tased him. That's what they should have did.
The suspect was taken to Jacoby Hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police say no NYPD officers fired their weapons. A police officer here on the scene earlier tonight told me that most Parkchester security guards do not carry firearms, but some supervisors do. Reporting live in the Parkchester section of the Bronx, Nick Calloway, CBS 2 News.
Nick, thank you.
Okay, guys, this situation right here is in South Africa. Okay? Yesterday, where a guy was on this parkway running around, threatening people with a knife. South Africa, where all the cops are black. The government's black. Everybody's in charge is black. All these police officers are black. The suspect's black. I wanted you guys to understand that this is one thing black people don't understand. Order, civilization, regardless of the race or color of the cops, certain things are going to cause certain reactions. And you always hear black people in America talk about, we need to police our own communities. We need black cops. All the cops should be black, and none of this would happen. Really? What you think the color of that public safety officer that shot that brother in the Bronx in the last story we just covered? What you think he was? A white man? But I want you guys to watch what happens here. In South Africa, all black country, all black police force. A wild maniac running around with a knife. They're trying to stop him. Look at this. He's running up on cars. Cars are just, he's smashing people's windows. He's shirtless. He's threatening people, throwing bricks on people's windshields. He's standing on these people's hood of their car. They get out the car. He chases them. And boom, you see that sister shot him. See that sister putting her gun back in her? That female cop shot him. And I guarantee you nobody in South Africa is protesting that. And nobody in South Africa is complaining about that. They don't have white liberals to hype them up over stupid stuff like this. That sister did what she had to do. She shot him. I guess the moral to the story is, if you're going to be running around threatening people with knives in public, make sure there's no cops around. Get in the comment section, hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe, take the $5 challenge via PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Peace. I'm out.